You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama.
Paranormal Pride. We will visit only with the best investigators, location owners, demonologists, researchers, inventors, authors, mediums, psychics, and enthusiasts. Anyone with a love or interest in the paranormal, the supernatural, or the unexplained will be meeting here on Mondays at 8 p.m., 7 Central. Welcome to the Paranormal Pride. Welcome, everyone. I hope everybody enjoyed their time off. 2019 is here. I hope everybody had a very good end of the year. I know some of you didn't, so I want to say prayers for those of you who had a very turbulent New Year's, and my heart goes out to you out there. Been thinking about all of my listeners a lot lately, so especially those of you who need those prayers. And I'm pretty sure you guys know who you are. And my heart's breaking for quite a few of you. So you guys know, I have on tonight Clarissa Vazquez and Chris Carr. I was supposed to have them on a while ago. This is my actual second interview with them. But, you know, unless you guys were listening to another network at the time, you may not have heard it. So hopefully I don't leave you guys out of stuff that I've already asked them before, and I forget to ask them again. So I met them through Sean Whittington's show when we went out to Vegas. So that's how we got to meet them, and it was very interesting. And another way I got to meet them was I have their book, Debunking Common Paranormal Myths, Exploring the Psychosomatic Pareidolia. This book is interesting, and it's actually an easy read. Ron read it on the plane when we went to Vegas the last time, and it has a lot of stuff in there that, whether you are a new paranormal investigator or a seasoned paranormal investigator, that you guys can find interesting and helpful. So I think you guys should go out there and check that out. You can get this book on Amazon. Can you guys also get it on your website, Chris or Vanessa? Blah blah blah. Clarissa or Chris?
You sure can.
Blah 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 blah.
You can get it at www.cccvbooks.weebly.com and also find out what we're up to.
Well, you guys are always up to something.
True.
From what I've seen. And I know that Clarissa, you guys live in different places, so how often do you guys... Well, when I say different places, she lives in Colorado, and you live in
Massachusetts. Yeah, I live in Massachusetts, yeah.
And the last time I talked to you guys, Clarissa had recently been in Massachusetts, like the night before.
Right, correct. We were doing an investigation because we also have paranormal teams, and her team is CCPI, and mine is ECCPI, the one that I'm on. And we did an investigation together at SK Pierce in Gardner, Massachusetts. And Clarissa was kind of doing a paranormal world tour, or at least a national tour at that point. And she stopped in Massachusetts, and we managed to plan an investigation around that. And that was pretty cool. It was fun. So,
well, I know that you guys you both were really hyped up at the time about the investigations that you did there in Gardner. And where did you investigate there in Gardner?
Yeah, it's SK Pierce Mansion.
And that's been on TV quite a bit.
Yeah, that's a pretty well-known haunt. And a great haunt if you get a chance to go there, although I believe they're turning it into a bed and breakfast now.
That makes it even easier to get into.
Yeah, in a certain way. I don't know that they're going to allow investigators to investigate through the night, but the jury may still be out on that. So I don't want to speak to it and in a firm way. It could be open that way, but what I had heard was that it was just going to be a bed and breakfast, because it is pretty quaint and beautiful, and Gardner's a pretty nice town, so we shall see.
Well, we have some bed and breakfasts out here that you can actually rent the whole place. You and your paranormal team rent the whole place, and you go through it. I mean, the mansion
That's
is another
correct.
one.
We have Lizzie Borden in Fall River. Right, does that.
I mean, there's not that many, really, when you think about it, that you can actually rent the whole place, you and your paranormal team, and go from room to room. That's inexpensive enough to where you can do that.
Right.
So, I mean, that's always a thought. Yeah, how often?
Oh, absolutely. It may be going that way. I'm not sure. That when we were there, they said that it wasn't, but it was some time ago now. So who knows? I've heard mixed things, so it may end up just like that.
Was the S.K. Pierce house ever abandoned?
Yeah, for a long time. It was abandoned for a number of years. Decades, I believe.
I just know that I've seen it on multiple different shows, including, I think, A Haunting.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and is that the one where they said that they saw a child in one of the upper windows?
Yeah, well, we were there, and I think toward the end of the investigation, I think we were taking a break and went outside on a porch, on a side porch, and there was somebody walking by, just a random person, not connected to the investigation in any way, and she's like, "Hey, do you have any kids in there?" Or I think she first asked if we were doing a paranormal investigation, and we said, "Yeah," because they have those there. I said, "Do you have any kids in there? Because I just saw a kid in the window up there." So I don't know.
And that also coincided with another person that was investigating with us. Jax was using an SLS camera up in that same area where the woman claimed to have seen the child in the window. Just shortly prior to that, he captured a very small anomaly in that area, child-size anomaly, with the SLS camera. So maybe
correct.
Possibly a little bit of validation there.
And that's when I remember you saying something about the SLS camera during the last show.
Mm-hmm.
And what you had said was you were interested in how it worked, and you were still at that time skeptical about some of the evidence. How do you feel about it now?
I'm still working to debunk it. I don't think that everything that those devices capture is paranormal in nature, especially since, when you've got an anomaly and you move the camera just a fraction of an inch in any direction and it disappears. But there have been instances, for example, at the S.K. Pierce mansion when Chris and another investigator and I were down in the basement. I captured an anomaly that appeared to be crawling across the ceiling in the basement, and I was actually able to track it with the camera as it crawled across the ceiling.
Yeah, that was something. That's pretty creepy looking.
Yeah.
Even though it's just a stick figure, that it kind of crawled almost like a Hollywood horror movie sort of way across the ceiling toward us. That was kind of neat. Yeah.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about that during that show, about how it maps on lines that it sees, even if the lines are in stuff, drapes or the designs on furniture, whatever.
Right.
If it has a line, it will automatically think that it'll automatically create a stick figure where there's a line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's certainly looking for people. That was the intention of the Kinect camera. That's the original technology behind it. So, there has to be a little of that, but when you have an interaction or something like that, or like Clarissa said, you can continue to track it moving, as opposed to a still object that maybe has, some sort of figure-like, I don't know, quality to it. That seems a little bit more validating.
I agree. Because it is true that if you move just a hair, it disappears.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's a SLS or whether it's a Connect, it does the same thing.
Right. It doesn't do that with
the minute that you adjust yourself.
With people so much,
Right. So it's kind of weird how that is. So
Yep.
I'm just glad that you're still checking it out and trying to see what you think about that. Because, like I said, at the time, I knew that you were really excited about what you got, but you were still going, I don't know. Because we sat on the break there and we talked about it, about some of the stuff that I had seen with those. But you guys, when you check out their book, what's interesting is the chapters, and I talked about this at length in the first time. I love the chapters on these, and
thank you.
Well, they made me laugh. I mean,
that was the intention.
Well,
good.
Well, because we all take our paranormal stuff. Either we take it way too seriously, or we don't take it serious enough. There are all of us are out there, and there are people in both boats.
Yeah.
There's not enough humor in some things, and sometimes in the paranormal there's not enough humor, and so you took the humor where it needed to be. It's right there. It's not like the book's silly, because it's not.
Well,
you made
cool.
It
Thank you. I work in IT,
and that's what's important.
When you read an IT manual or any kind of tech manual that I might come across in my field, they're pretty boring.
I know.
So, even though we have a sort of fancy title, they're a long title. It shouldn't scare you off. It is a pretty easy to read book, and we just hope people get something out of it.
Yeah, Chris made me keep the big words to a minimum.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm not in IT.
Look at the title. I'd say that's probably.
But I am in something similar. So I understand about having to do things in a fashion that's technical writing.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. If you work in technical writing, there's not a lot of humor there, right?
Well, there's that, and there's contracts and others. Yeah, you can't be sarcastic, because that can be misconstrued. So at least you guys put the sarcasm where it needed to be.
I was going to say there is a small dose of sarcasm in this book.
Oh yeah, and that's why I love it. So if I had to explain to me what psychosomatic pareidolia is.
Okay.
In a nutshell.
In a nutshell, and really to explain what it is, we have to go back just a little bit to how we came up with this quote unquote clinical definition. And the way it started was Chris and I were talking about how frustrated we both were with our social media feed. Just every single post we were getting, someone was calling random, natural, everyday occurrences paranormal phenomena. And it's very frustrating to see BS, being considered as paranormal evidence. And we use the words evidence and proof lightly. We prefer to use the term data. But, and what it all boils down to is people, especially people who are just getting started in this business, they want to experience something paranormal so badly, whether they're looking for ghosts or cryptids or ETs. They want to experience something so badly that everything they experience in their minds becomes paranormal. And so psychosomatic, when you're putting yourself in a potentially paranormal environment or a potentially paranormal situation, you've already got that psychosomatic influence. You're expecting to experience something paranormal. Pareidolia is the brain's natural tendency to make a rational conclusion out of incomplete data. And the best example I can give is looking at cloud formations. When you look up in the sky and you think you see a bunny rabbit in the clouds, there is no bunny rabbit. It's just cloud formations, but your brain